Jesus said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, for my yoke is easy, my burden is light." And it is. Once we get rid of the world and we stop focusing on the world and start focusing on Him, it gets easy and it's light and it feels good. "If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in His love." He tells us this not so that we can be under the bondage of the law. And if you have relatives who've seen you kind of have the scales lifted off your eyes and you tell them something like I told them in that letter I sent last week, sometimes you may hear that. You're under the bondage of the law. No, we're not. We're relaxing into it. It's so that we can remain and be full of joy and be happy and be digging it. And that's why he tells us that, so we can be happy. The first part of Round Prairie Community Church's vision statement is and has always been Proverbs 29:18, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." And that's kind of like hey, we have a vision because where there is no vision, the people perish. The second half of that is, "But he that keeps the law, happy is he." That goes back to what I said last week too about, because we're kids in the eyes of our Father, right? So we're the children. Children are happier when they have boundaries. When they have left and right limits, and it's like, kids, between these two limits, you can run, play, and do all you want to do. Don't step outside of those limits, or something happens. But kids are happy because they know what they are. When kids are unhappy is where they don't really know where those boundaries are, and they start getting way over here, and then they get whacked, and they don't even know really if that was the boundary yet. Now that's how they found out. All right, so it's happy when we know, here's our boundaries, and we're in these boundaries, we're good. We began today with Yeshua saying that he was the true vine. And then he gives us the keys, if you will, to living a fruitful life, right? To bear much fruit. And bearing much fruit, living a fruitful life, is something we all want to do, something we all should want to do, because we want to please our Father. He loves us, we love him, and we want to make him happy. And that's like the carrot. And then over here, we know what happens to the unfruitful branches. They get snipped off and thrown into the fire, and we don't want to be those branches. And so the keys to a fruitful life, if you will, based on this sermon, are three. There's three keys. And the first one is this: purging, or cleansing, or pruning. We all need to be purged, cleansed, pruned. And the thing you can take from this is, when the Most High is pruning you, accept it, revel it, thank him for it. Paul said, "I glory in my tribulations." Right? We should be happy when he's pruning us, because he has seen that you are worthy of pruning, and he wants to take you to the next level of fruit bearing. So we should thank him for that. The second part of living a fruitful life, if you will, is the main part of the sermon, and that's abide. Abide in him. Don't let anything come between you and him. And those things that do, because there are things that do in your life, start working on removing those. And how do we do that? Do we physically say, that's it, that's not coming between me and Jesus anymore? Maybe. But you know what? Some of those things are hard, and the only way they're going to get removed is by taking it to him. Remember that? Take your cares, take your worries, take your problems to him and say, Lord, this is in my life, this is in the way, this is between me and you, and I cannot do this on my own. Help me to remove this burden. Help me to remove this wall. Help me to remove this thing that is blocking me from you, that is hurting our relationship together. And then the third thing to help live a fruitful life, if you will, is obedience. Just be obedient. I used to tell my son, more than my daughters, just do the right thing. You know what the right thing is? Just do it, and everything will be wonderful. I think I'll leave it at that, but when we don't do what we're supposed to do, there's consequences to that. And you know what? And again, fathers here, and probably mothers too, how many people here like disciplining their kids? I don't. Never did. Right? But if you love them, you have to keep them on the straight and narrow. And so be obedient. Be obedient to Almighty Yah and to His commandments. Just do it. It's not hard. The yoke is easy. The burden is light. Purging, abiding, and obedience. The purging, He's going to take care of that. Right? There's nothing you need to do for purging. He's going to purge your life. He's going to prune your life. He's going to cleanse your life. And all you need to do is accept it. Your focus, my focus, our focus should be on abiding. That's what we should focus on. Being with Him. Not letting anything come in the way with Him. And when we do that, we've been purged, we're abiding. You know what about the obedience? It's going to work itself out. He's already written His law in your hearts and in your minds, on your hearts and in your minds. He's already put it there. And that obedience is going to work itself out. You don't need to worry about that. You know, you have a heart that He created. He's put His law on it. He's put His law in your mind. And if you just abide in Him, it's going to start showing through. And you're going to change. He's going to change you to be more and more like Him. So abide in Him. I never give homework. I rarely give homework. But really your homework this week, in addition to the homework that Brother Cole's going to give us later, is to read the book, 1 John. Read 1 John this week. It won't take you long. Read it, think about it. Ask Him, what are you trying to show me, Father, through this book? 1 John. Let's pray.